All right, welcome back to Black Lodge Trivia Night. This is Art, and we are not continuing our Lord of the Rings Online Epic Book Quest run because remember last time we finished. Now, we also said last time the level cap is 160, I'm 106, so obviously there's more to do, and I think what it is the some Mordor quests, and I think they have a specific name. Oh, here we go. I clicked the wrong one. It's chapter 1.1, Beyond the Black Gate. The Black Book of Mordor, I believe, is how the story continues. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know what the storyline is, but my intention is to, keep going with the story and see where it leads, even though, technically speaking, the narrative of the trilogy is done. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mithril coin out of here. Of course, as you remember, the last session ended with the marriage of Aragorn and Arwen. Now, my understanding is I might have done it, technically speaking, out of chronological order. I thought I read somewhere that you're meant to do some of this Beyond the Black Gate, or maybe all of it, I don't know, and then jump over to the marriage. Because if you remember, Gandalf in the Volume 5 said, you know what, my time here is almost done, but here we are prancing around Mordor. So I do think I did it out of order. I don't regret it, though. I feel like I wanted to do all those things together. And then whatever this side stuff is, or whatever this is, that's after the story of the books, I'll do in its own thing.
For Gondor.
Cannot abandon my post here at the Black Gate. Aragorn has tasked me with keeping tally on those who enter Mordor. Now you're going that way? Perhaps you could be of some help.
Eyes up, ever wary.
Okay, we want to visit the foothold in Udun. It's a well-provisioned forest station there. Okay. Let's go into Mordor. Did I not grab everything? I have a feeling this is a travel screen? Maybe not. I don't know why. But yeah, let's head into Mordor proper. Of course, this is after the destruction of the Black Gate, so it's going to be in rubble. It's interesting that, it makes sense that you have this whole area to explore in Mordor, but obviously you wouldn't be exploring it until after the story. You didn't get in. One does not simply walk into Mordor. So I appreciate why we weren't going behind the enemy lines in Mordor while Frodo was trying to do his thing. We didn't want to draw any attention to what was going on within Mordor, so I can appreciate that. I was curious, yeah. So there is sort of a shadow. -5 incoming healing, plus 10% incoming damage. And then my damage output is reduced. It's nearly empty.
Hey.
This is telling me I might not have the levels I need to do some of this, which... Okay, so they're trying to make sense of what's going on and then send a report.
This land makes my skin crawl.
You find us bereft.
Okay, so it looks like their captain's missing. Captain told him to stay put, but
A riddle has come to us, perhaps of great importance.
dying Nirnhoth, those are the Mordor slave men you see, told us of a secret plan among the forged laborers of Udun. Stranger still, it's all arranged in a voiceless code. Okay, so it's solving some riddle of something that's going on here. A Purchase the Flame of Ancalamir from one of the High Enchanters. So it's an adamant of old. It will unravel many items throughout Middle-earth into different components that I have named Embers of Enchantment, Pigments of Splendor, and Motes of Enchantment. I'm already falling asleep.
I haven't slept in days.
I'll take this just out of curiosity, but I do not care about any of that kind of stuff. And I'm curious if it's going to be more important. Like, is gear going to be more important, stuff like that, because we've got this sort of a new meter here that's sort of weighing the shadow and light. Which I just noticed. I have no idea how any of this works. Okay. Probably should be checking on my equipment. I feel like this is... Yeah, I think I'm holding on to this because I can't, I want to reclaim those. Whatever those are, and I probably couldn't. So let's first put that on. No, I do have let's do that. I do have something to reclaim. Traceries. I think I'm going to go with the slightly lower armor because it's got a bigger boost of vitality. And that's usually my jam. And there's a bunch of crap that I never really pay attention to. $18-year gift box. I keep saying 19 years. I thought I started right away. But, 18 years maybe? Yeah, I have no idea. I thought I was right on board, but maybe not. I don't know what any of this is. It doesn't help that I'm not reading it. I'm just like, click, click. Let me check what I'm actually wearing. Whoops. Unwavering March. Okay, let's add it to that. Now, cosmetic outfit, I'm wearing... Cloak of Mordorith's Bane. Let me see what happens if I drop the black... I think I like the other one. first one went, but anyway. All right. Woof, that's a little too showy. It's kind of interesting. Although I do wish I knew where the other one was. No regrets. Okay. That's what I'm wearing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Is this going to be a... Yeah, let's get rid of that. It's locked. That's not bad. But again, I don't know where the other cloak went. Okay, let's see if we can add this to anything. Nope. Anyway, good enough, whatever. Fellow player 109 Hunter, very nice.
If the whispers are true, there are signal flags understood only by the forge workers.
Okay, so this might be part of the code that they're using to communicate with each other, signal flags. So we're going to find the signal flags as well as kill 8 something. Again, this is King Éomer, which is telling me I don't have the levels for it and I'm a little nervous.
Dark skies, dark tidings.
No, not that I know anything about Middle Earth. I really don't know much about Mordor. I feel like you never really... Okay, collect gear. I'm very curious what happens when that meter underneath my my info tips the other direction. So I don't know what just happened. Whatever that meter was underneath my character went away. I don't know if that's good or bad. I wonder how much... I mean, clearly Tolkien's the type of guy that would have done the legwork even on, like, Mordor. I'm curious, where would you go for that? Is it the Silmarillion? Is it somewhere else? Is it... I'm sure he didn't work out all the details to the world and just be like, there be dragons here from Mordor. Like, I think that info must be somewhere. He must have deep dived. Okay, well, many flee before the coming Gondorian armies. Some small number of Undun's forge workers and men from distant lands may take the knee and surrender themselves. Okay. We'll accept their surrender. You know what, let's, Oop. Okay, so I thought, I killed 8, but then I guess that's not that quest. Hold on one sec. Let me, keeps telling me to come back for this from the ashes. Oh, yeah, this is why, like, I can tell you I have zero interest in any of this, so. Alright, let's take a look at the map and see what else we can do. Okay, so, we've got... Orange is this. All right. Yeah, so orange is, I don't know. Let's go back in and, why am I not hearing my voice inside my head? Gotta crank the, I gotta figure this out because I gotta crank the headphone volumes up more than I think I should. In order to hear the feedback in my headphones. Okay, so the actual chapter 1-1 is way down here. So to get there, well, let's start figuring this stuff out. Light of Erendil. Effective Shadow 10. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be Googling a lot about that shadow of blah, blah, blah. All right. Gears, though. Why am I not collecting gears? All right. It seems to matter who you kill for these gears. Let me see. Anyway, let's you know what? I keep coming back to this, but let's explore deeper. Let's really get into it here. Okay, so I'm getting a -5 incoming healing. So for some reason when I'm on the path, it kicks in. When I get off the path, it turned off. Man, this is really impressive. I was about to say it seems to be more functional than I would expect after Sauron's defeat, but I also like the idea, and I think they were talking about this, the idea of like a power vacuum. And sort of the idea that the chaotic state of evil that might come about because of it, you know, like... You know, sometimes, you know, when people are, you know, like, the advantage of dealing with this kind of despot or whatever is because then you know where all the evil is in one place. You know who you're dealing with, you know who to pinpoint, who to dedicate your intelligence to, whatever it is. And then once evil becomes fractured or goes to ground or something, then all of a sudden things get a lot more complicated. So I like the idea, and this might all be entirely headcanon, I like the idea that evil didn't just evaporate. It just doesn't have, like, the unifying direction at this point, and, you think that could be a win. You know, you sort of decapitate the source of the evil, but at the same time, it's going to introduce a lot of other challenges. And I like that idea. Again, this could all be in my head. One of these days, I'm sitting there like, oh, you know, I'm almost done. I don't know if I'm actually almost done, but what I will say is, you know, like, do I, just for my own play, one thing I've never done with this character is basically any of the deeds, crafting, anything, you know, all the little things along the way you can do to buff up. Do I, you know, as like an even more chill experience, do I go back to Bree or arch it, and do I just start mining? You know, do I start... Because part of me is like, oh, you know, you could start a new character. But like, why would you start a new character? Just, there are reasons why I would want to start a new character. Like, for instance, but I would want to, like, I'd want to put a pin in this one for the most part, because given how fractured my gameplay is, I have trouble remembering what I'm doing. Like, you know, I barely know how to play the Warden, and like other classes, you know, are probably simpler on some level, but, or maybe not, I don't know. But, you know, like, again, I've talked a lot about how much I enjoyed playing the Burglar. The problem is that I have no remembrance of how to do it, and so when I look at my level 57 Burglar in Moria, I'm like, oh my god, this feels like a learning curve. And now it's dumb because it's shorter to just relearn how to play the Burglar than it is to start from scratch, but there's something about, say, immersing myself in a class, and that comes from starting from scratch. Oh, another player, nice. Level 109 champion, very nice. I guess this is where some of the action's at. Whispers and signs, and there's about 17 white quests. I guess it makes sense that there's a lot of other players here. We got that deed stuff, but I don't necessarily care about that. Okay, so let's see what a few came forward is. Accept surrenders. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here. That's not an accept a surrender. That's a... I've been sort of focusing on light damage over times. Again, in my headcanon, they should do more, and it feels like it's pretty effective. I don't know if it's more than the bleeds, but it does feel pretty effective. He says as he then loses his ability to do shouts and gets stunned into oblivion. What ends up happening is, like, on my mixer, you know, I've got faders, and in order to hear the voice in my head, like, I turn the headphones knob way up, and then that means, like, my faders are all basically almost at the complete bottom of the slider. So I was hoping, I want to figure out a way so that I can hear myself in my headphones, but still have the sliders sort of a little bit more in the middle so that, this is partly an OCD thing, but it's partly, I don't have diagnosed OCD. I shouldn't joke about stuff like that, but it's partly that, but it's also partly just so I have a little bit more wiggle room. Like, do I want it to be a little lower? Do I want it to be a little, I mean, louder I can definitely do, but... Oh, shoot. Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Like, you know, like, we should be accepting surrender, right? Like, the full-blown war, in theory, is over. Do I need to kill these things for anything? No. That's up in the design game, that's got a little creepiness going on to it. The bird's definitely the gore crow. It's not just another craven. Glad they're putting the rings on the minimap at least. Let's see. Oops, screwed that up. Again, the classes that I would like to really explore the space, to Christopher Walken, it is really, you know, is the burglar, because I really enjoyed it. And again, I have like on one of the legendary, whatever the legacy, sorry, servers, I've got like a level 50 something burglar, but I think I'd want to just do it here if I were going to do it. And then again, there's something like the hunter is one that I feel like I should love, and I'm just really bad at it. And I think I said this, like there's a part of me that would like to try the minstrel. The guardian is one that always intrigued. I like the idea of like a defensive tank kind of, you know, figuring out how to withstand the storm, so to speak. You get right up there in the front line, and but like the warden obviously can already do that to some degree, and I'm pretty deep into this character, so I think I would want to that's the only reason why I like switching over to a guardian. I feel like I've sort of covered some of that space already, but maybe they play differently enough, I don't know. You gonna attack? Nope. But yeah, the minstrel on paper does not seem like my kind of class, but I'm just curious what it brings to the table. Obviously, it's like in a group, it's a healer, but it has that sort of I don't know, it has in my head that philosophy of like, you know, you just get right up there and you weather the storm. And now they do it by just healing the shit out of themselves, where wardens can, you know, sort of really mix and match their approach. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And again, a hunter is a class, you know, everybody growing up as a kid when they played D&D for the first time, like, I'm going to be a ranger. But yeah, the hunter... I think the advantage to being a hunter is that it's just fast, like you just blow things to shit, but I don't know if that makes it interesting. And again, not that, you know, as I said in the end of the last session here, it's not the mechanics that kept me around for 270 hours or 66 hours, whatever. But, you know, if I'm doing something, I might as well find it, like, remotely interesting. That's why, like, you know, like the burglar gambits, like, or whatever it is, like, where you're, like, upping the dice, and so it's something to pay attention to. In a loop where paying attention isn't the most important thing. So it makes you feel like you're doing a little bit of decision making. I guess that's part of it. Like, if I really break it down, it's, you know, decision making. Like, I feel like the Warden and the Runekeeper probably would too, and I'm sure a lot of classes, there's decisions to be made. Whether or not they have tons of impact is hard to say, but what is purple? Whispers and signs. Is that the signal flags? Yeah, so I have to keep an eye out for those. Oh, you're right there, sir. Okay, whoops. Just tabbed off of you for some reason. The Hunter I could see having interesting decisions in a way where it's like you gotta ping somebody and then you drop a nuke on them, but most of it seems like it's just run around in circles while you spam your attacks. And I'm starting to think that might be why, like, whenever I see high-level players... what are we doing? The things they left behind. Whether from marching into battle or fleeing before a great defeat, soldiers of the Dark Lord's army left many of their possessions behind. Okay. Search abandoned packs. Okay. There's definitely no shortage of stuff to do. And so what I'm kind of curious about, you know, now that I'm thinking it, my curiosity is getting stronger. One of the things I was saying, I think in the final book session, was that there was a magic to the Shadows of Angmar because it was before you really felt beholden to start lining up with the official story in the books. There's a lot more room to play when you're not as important and you're earlier in the timeline. You know, it's eventually everything is going to come to a head. It comes to a head at the Black Gate, Mordor, Frodo dropping the ring. Like, the peripheral stuff just falls by the wayside at some point. And again, I don't know the source material, but I feel like there's an opportunity here. Do a little freeform jazz. Like, you're not, you know, the story can be entirely your own at this point. And so I am curious to see what they do with it, because I felt like, and I know it's not the same people, but I feel like what they did with it originally was quite good. So, anyway. I am very excited about that. I'm not excited about, that one person I was talking to. It's like, deliver 2,000 of this and 4,000 of that. I don't know if that's, like, important. Like I said, at some point I'm going to probably have to Google it, just see, like, do I need to pay attention to it? If I do need to pay attention to it, I almost guarantee you that I won't, so we'll see what happens at that point. Okay, so I've got that thing on me that's going to keep me from being at full potential. Now, I don't know, like, this might be something, you know, when did this expansion come out? Let me just look at this while I'm Googling. Let's see. Lotro, Mordor. Release dates. Holy cow. came out on July 31st, 2017. So 9 years ago. Nine years ago, on July 31st, 2017, to the day, I was busy turning 42 years old, because that is my birthday. But so this game's 9 years old. What I'm trying to figure out, like, one of the things I've always liked about this game, I've said it a million times, is sort of that, like, that dread that builds up, or whatever they call it, like when you get the Eye of Sauron. I don't know if it's on your picture or the mini-map, and then you start taking debuffs because of it. I guess it can't be the Eye of Sauron anymore, but I feel like dread... I'm sure everybody's already talked about this. I'm almost 10 years late to this expansions, but it just seems like... and maybe it's a mechanics thing, like they want to... Like, doing it this way gives you freedom the way the already established dread doesn't. I don't know. But I always like that idea, like the way that builds, and then eventually you kind of break. And look for already looted packs. Find and confront the sneak. This one was looted. Is there anyone nearby? Like, I don't know how... Because I don't know how to play the game. I don't know the mechanics of counteracting that Eye of Sauron dread. And, yeah, maybe it didn't work for whatever they're trying to accomplish here. But again, I'm sure... sure everybody's already wondered. See, oh man, I'm talking. Oh, you know, the minstrel might be interesting. Keep going back. I'm a burglar. Stealth right into that cave. Well, I mean, again, I can do that with my warden for a minute. But I feel like, man, for what they're having me do here, the burglar is the class to be. Like, you know, pillage, loot, sneak around, find people, gather intel. Because we're being honest, like, you know, the burglar, that's how they describe the skill set, but you can almost see them like a fast scout. Or you could see sort of a warden being a little bit more of a... I don't know if scout's the right word. They're a little more self-sufficient in a way. Like, in my mind, like, a scout's gonna get ahead, not be seen, and come back with the intel. A warden feels more like somebody who could go long-term, say, scouting. Like, you know, embed in a barn for a week, deal with anything that comes, report over time, you know, and I don't know what the, like, real-life analogies would be, like... I guess the difference between, like, an embedded reporter and just a journalist who goes in for the specific story. Or, like, you know... But I was trying to think of, like, an intelligence operation or, like, the military equivalent. I think I'm gonna get in a fight. I was waiting for my careful step to, refill, but that was too slow. Again, that's the thing, burglar. I'm not sitting around waiting for 2 minutes for my careful step to refill. And what you're hearing now is me talking myself into starting a burglar at some point. Because again, I have completed the book quest, so the pressure to see that is completely gone. I'd probably, still do it to check off the boxes, but I would just be like, yeah, whatever. I think I'd be more interested in all the side stuff now. That's where I just came from. And the thing I was saying about like the the dread and the buildup and how I really like that system. Again, I think it works. I think it's one of the geniuses of like, you don't have hit points, you have morale. And obviously you get killed and whatever, but like the idea that like when you're fighting in a war. I mean, I don't know. I've read a lot of history about World War II and stuff, but not that I'm an expert. But the idea is like you're not actually like when you beat a unit in a battle, like you didn't wipe out the unit, you just made them unable to perform the duties they need to perform. Whether they broke, whether they their morale was crushed, they can't get equipment, whatever it is. And in my mind, the dread mechanic sort of accomplishes some of that. But yeah, the reason why, aside from liking it, what I like about it, what I should say is not what I like about it. What I would have appreciated, I like the idea that you come up with a set of systems and you sort of see all the different things those systems can do. Because I feel like a well-designed system, it'll keep it clean, right? Like I've said this before, I'm playing a lot of the digital edition of Gloomhaven on the PC. No, that's gonna go badly. And the thing I keep coming back to is just what a clean core design that is. Like they're able to make, it's not dirt simple, but they're able to make their range of mechanics do a lot of things in clever ways. And so that's why I like the idea of whatever this is, we're keeping it with the original Dread, because you come up with this clean design that is just really flexible and allows you to do all the things you want and yada yada. But I don't know anything about MMO design. There might be competing requirements there. But maybe there wasn't, and if it was just like, well, I guess they need to grind something, or whatever, then it's just like, oh, okay. Or maybe they didn't like the ways you can mitigate that dread. They didn't like, I just pull this guy. Maybe they didn't like that. Maybe it wasn't. It's too easy to work around or something. But it seems like, I don't know. Things built up on me here. Pop some of that restorative shield work. Let's start bringing this home. Whenever I go off on stuff like that, I just refer back to standing principle of my life. What the hell do I know? I don't know anything. Yeah, you can do a lot of light damage every second, or every 4 seconds, or whatever. I saw 400, 500, 700, and like 1200. It's not bad. I think those rings are... trying to show me where the packs are, but... Alright, I'm going in the front door, which means I'm going to have to fight that guy. Maybe not. Oh, there he... oh, shoot. Thang sentry. See, like, yeah, with a burglar, this scrap would be complicated, but it'd be interesting, right? Like, here what I do is I just crank on healing myself and doing sort of group damage. So that's sort of, you know what, let's finish that later. But with burglar, I'd have to like stun lock one of them, then spin around him, try and sort of uber damage him into the ground as fast as possible. So then I could, you know, I think it would be a lot more tactical. But I might be, again, just playing up in my head how interesting it is, because I find it inherently interesting on some level. Or yeah, you'd be spinning up like a damage over time on one guy, you know, the Gamb is upping the dice from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4 to a 5, 6, whatever it is, and then keeping an eye on the other one, like keeping him stun locked or dazed or whatever it is. Let's see, we got Expeditionary Camel, +2 Light of Arendelle. So I think that was what this was, I think. Yeah, Light of Arendelle 0. So this will give me 2. What's also interesting is that lower arm. Oh no, it's because it's light. What's interesting is it's just, yeah, no tracery slots. Might Vitality or Agility Vitality. I'm gonna go with Might. Oh, there we go, 107. Now, I don't know if that means, like, the tracery stuff is done. Like, now that, you know, we're getting into the later game, they just sort of don't worry about that anymore. Or if it's going to come back once you are out of Mordor, sorry. Okay. So I can't tell, is this bar? Seems like my effective shadow is 8. Does it fill from the right? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Or we won't, because I'll never pay attention to it. Let's get rid of that, because I'm not buying keys. Okay. Okay. What's this? Let's, oof. Okay. Had a bunch of those. Let's see. I'm wondering. Get rid of that. I thought I had some like reclaimed traceries that I could maybe apply to some of my equipment, and I could start selling it. I don't know if that gets sucked up by these essence and tracery bags. I think the other thing is maybe I shouldn't worry about it because I'm just swimming in these things, so who cares? Just sell them off and don't worry about it. Well, but, you know, but that's the other thing. Like, you know, maybe, you know, with this character, I figure out what all this stuff means, and I sort of actually learn once and for all how to min-max some of these things. And, you know, there's a lot of things I could still do with this character. I'd snap femurs all day long. What is this? The Fists of... Okay, that's going to be the Enforcers. But, but it does, point out, like, say, if traceries are actually, like, just a thing for the end game of the volume, book quest, whatever. Is it because they want you to have something else to pay attention to and gear up? Or is it because they're just like, you know what, okay, moving on. Like, that was too cumbersome, and we're sort of locked in, but we can, unless we're going to overhaul the whole thing, we can't get rid of it. But we can say, okay, yeah, that's not exactly where we want to go with this. And the iteration then becomes more about how high level you are and not being able to actually iterate. The old stuff. What's gear works? Complete turning the gears, complete gear in the machine. You know what I should be doing? Let's, this is where we're going to go. So I'm going to go take a right, follow this road. Let's follow this road south here and see where it goes. Now, if something happens, can I take that troll? I can. A lot of times when I get stunned, I don't bother dealing with it because it usually wears off before I can hit the keyboard shortcut. But with these guys, it seems to last a little while, so I gotta make sure I actually pay attention to that and take care of that when it comes up. Okay, somewhere around here, there's like a pack they left behind, but there's that one there, and I don't know if that's one of the ones where like you're supposed to find the person that's already looting them, and there's going to be a second pack somewhere, so... Alright, there's another pack there. So I'm going to have to fight my way through this one. Alright, I think I have to go through these guys. We got an archer, so I want to hit them there. I want them to... Like right here, like, you know, what happens when you get a mob? Same thing, just same attack over and over. So it's you know, you're making like a choice, like it's one of the tools you have in your toolkit, but it's not like it's not a moment-to-moment thing you gotta figure out. Which I could see being more interesting with Burglar, and again, I don't know if a minstrel would offer those tactical decisions, like moment to moment. But that is the draw of the Burglar. Okay, so it's telling me at the end of this road might be another... another backpack. I was like, oh, I've been doing that for an hour. See, I'm like halfway down, like, oh my god. So many more backpacks to collect. I do think, well, I mean, I don't know how the programming works. I do think, like, this backpack's probably one of the ones, like, you know, is somebody looking? Oh, this just took a turn. I do wish there was a way for those to switch back over, because again, like, the person who's stealing them from me is gone, so they should be up for grabs, but I get it. Different triggers, different whatever. Like with the hunter, at least I could see, like, you know, you need to start moving. You gotta get them back at range. You gotta make tactical moment-to-moment decisions, like, how do I turn these back into one-on-one fights so I can just melt through this guy while that guy can't get to me? And I'm sure, like, a lore master has similar things. The warden doesn't need to do that. So it's a different decision tree. Like, how do I survive? And I think I actually kind of find that interesting. How do I survive it all? That's what I was saying about weathering the storm. Oh, interesting. Rather than... see, the spies Ugrakor, captain of the pit, can be found throughout Udun. So, okay, so maybe that's one of the new power brokers trying to rise up in the vacuum. So we gotta kill his spies. Yeah. Yeah, it's telling me right around here there should be another backpack. There we go. Alright, so let's make our way back to the main road and cut left, and again we're gonna hook around and try and get to the main quest. So I don't know how this is gonna shake out, because I don't know how long this stuff is. I know I'm in 1.1. I don't know how long chapters are. I don't know if it's broken up into like the way the books were. So I might, again, and not that I was trying to do it too exact at the end, but yeah, I'm just gonna go a couple hours, 2-3 hours, whatever, every session, and yeah, just go from there. It's one interesting thing. I think it was on Substack. It was somebody who makes videos. And they made a video, and I'm never going to remember the links, and I apologize, but they were talking about, like, YouTube's... the way you can sort of A/B test titles and thumbnails and blah, blah, blah. And for the most part, I don't know if I care about that, but one of the interesting insights that they had was that when they included, like, episode 62 in the title, it did worse. And I'm always just for, like, my... you know, versioning. Like, when you're an editor, it's very important to keep track of version numbers, and you're always, like, duplicating the sequence, and, you know, this is now going to be version 4.3, or I keep it simpler than that, but some people have some pretty crazy ways to name sequences and track versioning. But, so I just partly do it for that, but they're like, no, I don't do that. What I do is I let the playlist do that. You know, it's just in the right order. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you, like, how would I know it's in the right order? Like, you know, I need to know the episode numbers. But anyway, it was interesting, and it made me wonder if those are the little things, like, I should be doing differently. Like, should I, you know, does it matter that this is going to be episode 61 of my Lord of the Rings Online run? Or do I just say, you know, this is, you know, after Mordor. Chapter 1.1, you know. It's not that different. But I think the idea is, and the same thing is actually true, I think, in television shows, where you don't want people to sit there saying, like, oh, but I didn't watch the first 60 episodes. You know, am I going to not know what's going on? You know, so, like, you feel sort of locked out of something because it's very clear it's been going for a while. And you haven't been paying attention, or you haven't been participating. So I do appreciate that. So now I don't have that light thing going on anymore. I don't know if it's just not in a super evil place, or I don't really know. Now, there's ways for me to, like, render armor and stuff like that. I gotta figure that out. Seems like a little sweet spot for, like, these signatures, the enforcers. Let's take out a couple of them. I'm gonna have to eat this, because that's still cooling down. When I get out of it, I'm gonna pop the restorative shield work. So it's coming in low on morale. Now, at the time of this recording, I know one of the things that have just come out is, like, update 48 with, like, Rivendell housing. So I gotta tell you, like, again, as somebody who doesn't care about shit, yeah, when I was reading that, I'm like, oh, I hope that's good for people, because I just don't care. Also, I feel like it's weird to buy housing in Rivendell. Not like you're a sicko. Just in the sense that Rivendell is a hidden enclave, and so I feel like that must be a tough thing to balance. Like, do you give people what they want, or do you stay a little bit more true to the lore of the world? Because again, yeah, in my mind, you don't put housing in Rivendell. Okay, come back. Okay, let's get that restorative shield work going because I am hurting. Just in the nick of time there. Like, narratively in my head, a lot of places make sense where you'd put housing. Rivendell is not it. Like, I don't think there should be any housing. Well, that's tricky because there are Elvish player characters, but it wouldn't be, in my mind, it wouldn't be Rivendell, it wouldn't be Lothlorien. Those are sort of more hidden. Like, Lothlorien is because, they're very strict of who they let in and blah, blah, blah. Is at least part of the story. Like, you had to earn your... I thought I remember having to earn my way into that part of the setting. Or, now that Sauron's dead, everybody's open for business. The other thing is the elves are leaving. Well, maybe what do they care? Like, just, yeah. Last person, turn the lights out on your way out. This is actually a good farming spot for these because by the time I kill one, the other one has respawned. Oops, shoot. It's one of the spies, isn't it? Okay, I've got my restorative shield work back, so if things start to go poorly, I can fall back on that. I guess what I was saying earlier, if you wanted to iterate on earlier stuff, you just do it on the side, and then when the time comes, you flip the switch, and suddenly the new area... Oh, shit. Sort of have to eat that for a while, because... But yeah, this is what I was saying about the warden being able to sort of stand there and, at the face of a storm and figure it out, If I were playing a champion or in my limited experience as a hunter, I'd be dead. So, but the warden finds a way. Keep this party going. Interesting. Okay. I think whatever that area of effect damage heal thing also. Well, maybe that's the damage. Is that that rallying cry part? That's the wrong one. Just taking a sip of taking a drink, and I was like, oh, I've got this, I can take a second, and all of a sudden, like, everything's going off. Standing here taking, I'm gonna pop restorative shield work as soon as I can stand up. Let's get that going. Let's do this. Oh, did I kill them? All right. Halfway to having my restorative shield work back, so I gotta hang in there. I can whittle this down to a one-on-one, then I'll go back to, I'm starting to get the, okay, I'm starting to get it. I was gonna say I was gonna switch back to the shield spear, shield gambits, but it looks like my morale's coming around. Hey, that was actually that was good. I'm glad. For what it's worth, I made it easy. I gotta get up the stairs. Just found a spot, took care of that thing, discovered Durthang's eastern stairs. Oh man, holy ooh. Again, the art direction, level design, it's really, really good. Let's get a look at. Yeah. So what's this one? The ears of Ugrikor. Is that the spies? Now the spies, you can't encounter until you encounter them, so I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then hopefully they run into me. I'm gonna sneak through. Black Numenorians. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously I get a lot of notifications for Twitch, Lotro, Twitch, blah, blah, blah. Because again, I do watch other people and I see, one, what they're doing, and two, I just enjoy seeing other people, play the game and enjoy it, and seeing other people keep it alive. I saw Louis 7 at the time of his recording. He's back on YouTube. Jealous? No, not really. He was like, here's this Black Lodge guy. I need to reclaim the throne. Not really. I came at the king and I missed. So Louis 7, welcome back. But yeah, it's just, but the streams and stuff, it's just it must be the communities, because people are like, my stream is going to be a 106 Runekeeper doing deeds. Now, Runekeeper, no, it's not the Runekeeper, that's the thing. It's the doing deeds. It's not like, oh my god, that's edge of the seat gameplay. But I think people just must enjoy precariously experiencing the game through, somebody else's experience and chatting with the community, I guess, because I assume side conversations occur. Not precariously. That's like when it's teetering on the edge. Vicariously. That's what I meant. I swear I'm losing it. I think I'm gonna need to take one of these guys out to get through the... It's a little alarming. Like, I don't know what it means in the long term. I don't know if it just... But there are times where, like, I feel like my vocabulary is starting to slip. Like, I feel like there's a little bit like, oh shit, I was already not smart to begin with. Am I already in the process of, like, the mental decline where I am getting dumber? But vocabulary is something sometimes I'm like, I feel like I used to know that word. I feel like I used to have it right there. But maybe that's the illusion, is that I didn't have other things right there that maybe I have now. Like kicking ass with warden gambits. I don't remember 2/3 of my vocabulary, but we're starting to do... I thought I saw an article relatively recently that started talking about how, like, actually video games might be good for you as you get older. Because, it makes you have to do something with your brain. And, when I sometimes see, like, these, retirement homes and...
commanded Duathand, the Black Shield, be built as an ever-vigilant watchtower of Gondor. For 16 centuries, the Thandrim, its keepers, dwelt here.
Nice. Voice acting. The voice acting in this game is always really good for the most part, so... Yeah. Do more of it, that's great. Oof. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for it. Anyway, yeah, it just makes me realize, like, maybe in the future, I don't know what the scheduling would be like, but maybe in the future I can, keep putting Lord of the Rings online stuff up without having to say, like, well, I don't have the book quests anymore, or I don't have the main story, because it might not matter. And then beyond that, like, one thing we've always wanted to do more of, Matt was doing it for a little while, was, Twitch and streaming. I don't know if I would do Twitch or if I would just do it here on YouTube. But, just, like, if there ever comes a time where I could have, like, a Tuesday night block, like, that would be, hey, we're just going to do this for a couple hours and see how it goes. And then everybody in chat could be like, hey, asshole, you're playing this wrong. I'd be like, oh, you're right. And I'd finally learn how to do it. We'll see. But it is an interesting phenomenon, because I'm very much a practicer of this as well, where, like I'm playing Crimson Desert, and then I'm watching stuff about Crimson Desert, and... For some games, I would watch someone streaming Crimson Desert. With that one, I don't so much, because I want to discover it for myself. But I do very much get into that. Or, like, once I know I'm past a certain part, like, oh, maybe I'll watch somebody's, like, I'm starting Crimson Desert to see what they did differently early on. It's interesting that, I'm sure I've said this before on some stream somewhere. I know I've said it before on some stream for Black Lodge, but There's a former journalist. I think he's actually about to publish his own RPG at the time of recording. I was just listening to him being interviewed by Jeff Gerstmann on Jeff Gerstmann Show. But, Austin Walker once said that the moment you start thinking about an RPG, you're playing it. And again, I don't know if he's the one who coined that, but he's the person I said, I heard Austin once say this. And I think it was Vinny from, also used to be from Giant Bomb, but now he's got it way, something lander, with, you have found the forges of Mordor, where Sauron equipped his armies. All right. I thought he was the one that said it. Anyway, the point is that, maybe that's true of more things, when you're thinking about Lord of the Rings Online, are you actually literally playing it? No, but are you enjoying it on some level? That might be a yes. Oh, here we go. Talk to Rogrin at Mornar in western Udun. Okay, so here's the sort of quote-unquote main story.
How fared you on the journey into Udun?
I must admit I faced more foes than I believed I would, but I proved stronger than they. I took the weapons from one of the orcs I slew and noted its craftsmanship. I would not have expected such a fine blade in the hands of one such as he. Perhaps he was a commander of some sort? Do the orcs organize their armies and fighting companies in the same fashion as the men of Gondor? Bah, these questions are pointless. What matters is this. He's dead and I'm not. And I've come to the forges from which the sword may have been made. Let us ensure that no more of its kind come forth to trouble us. Push over some of the anvils here and render them difficult to use. That'll slow down any production of further weapons and help our efforts in Udun. Yeah, this makes sense. You don't get to have a weapon stash. The war, we won. But again, now it's also on us to quash. Oh, you're going to try and do this? Nope. We got to be even more vigilant. Again, it gets harder when it's not organized in front of you. Keeping the peace is sometimes way more difficult than actually fighting the war. Or reestablishing the peace, or whatever it is you want to... if, enemies go to ground, if enemies form little, terrorist pockets or whatever. Alright, let's kill 20 forge workers. Okay. They're not too bad. I know they got 13.5 in morale, but they're one level below. Well, he counts as a forge worker. Let's do it. Is he signature? Yeah. Gotta be careful. This seems like a type of fight that might be a problem. He's immune. Okay, so he's not going to take light damage? Is that what you're telling me? No. Okay, he can. This is not going well. What are we doing? Got a little bit of an edge on him. So I'm kind of curious. I have a intensely stupid computer set up. I just had something coming through on my work computer. I don't start for a little while, but it was a message about some IT issues. And that's on a channel that should not be picked up by... I don't start for almost an hour and a half, but, some connection stuff going on. They wanted to make everybody aware of it. And that's coming through on a channel that, in theory, should not be picked up by OBS, but I'll be curious to see. Maybe I should mark that just so I can check the audio. I'm just curious how it works. It's really kind of crazy. It's really kind of crazy just how much you can pack into home stuff. If that makes any sense. Like, I've got a Rodecaster Duo. If you watch my audio walk of shame, the Lewitt Connect 6. The Elgato's just got something that very much looks like the Lewitt Connect 6 because they made it in conjunction with Lewitt, so it's not surprising. The Roland mix, I forget what theirs are called. The higher end one with, extra USB connections, like, or even like the SSL 12. I was surprised just, you can get all this stuff, just like, it's not cheap. And I don't know if I could afford, at my last job, I had a slightly better income, and I should have been buying some of this stuff anyway, but I've always been impressed with just how much you can get your home equipment to do. Like, 3 computers and a PlayStation 5 at one desk can all be routed and managed, without professional level gear. The Rodecaster Duo can do it. It's not pretty for the PlayStation because there's no way to get my microphone into the PlayStation, which you could do with Roland, you can do with the Elgato stuff. But it's got 2 USB plugs, so I can stick one to my work computer and one... so then I can send my mic to my work computer, so I can do Zoom calls without having to route it through. It's just... It takes some thought in setting it up, but it's really impressive. I only have one microphone. So what I can do is I can have my HDMI from my monitor out, go into mic input 2, but then you can set the mic input 2 to be, just a line input, which you could do with any XLR input. But, so you can just do all this stuff, and it kind of works. Now, sometimes I wish the one, the full Rodecaster thing has 6 faders, and sometimes I'm like, 4 is plenty, and then every once in a while I'm like, 5th one could work. I could use a 5th one here. Like in this case, like I could put my HDMI input onto a fader. Because right now it's got my microphone has to go on 1. I think it has to, so I can control the mutes and stuff. My system audio is on 1, so I can, as I'm playing, I can change it on the fly. It doesn't impact OBS's levels, but it does, I needed to be able to adjust that on the fly. My browsers are another one I do on the fly, because that's, Black Lodge Trivia Night, if I am, trying to hear more of Matt and Patrick and turn down any in-game audio, but even just like a YouTube video, if I want to turn down the YouTube video while I'm, or turn up a YouTube video while I'm, doing something else. And then the last one is my work computer, because, I want to be able to control the volume precisely for when I'm editing a video. Now, in my old job, I didn't need a work computer. They had the IT infrastructure where I could just do it from any computer, so that made it a little, I didn't need that other computer on a fader the same way. But anyway, it's just, again, it's very impressive what you can... What just, prosumer shit can do. Back when I worked in office places, there were people who would build out rooms. like edit rooms, audio engineering rooms, and so like they were managing cables, they were, you know, figuring out how to route this and route that, and how is this solution going to work for workflows. I sometimes think that I would love doing that. I don't have any illusions that I'd be good at it. I mean, like, I do cable management, but my cable management is just a rat's nest. It's not awful, but like, sometimes when you see these videos of people doing like you know, cable management where you don't see anything, like they hide every cable and you're just like, holy cow. And then they do it into like a standing desk and you're like, okay, that's impressive, because that has to have some flexibility. Like, I can't do that. Or maybe I could, like, if I had enough time, but you know, that was going to be my job. Like, I would want to learn how to do that. And as somebody who just does it for my own personal desk, I don't have the time to do that. But yeah, I used to think, oh, that would be a lot of fun. Now, they would probably tell me, no, it sucks. You have to, like, get into crawl spaces and ceilings and, you know, like, who knows what. Or get under floors and, you know, you're half construction worker, half all this stuff. But man, yeah, the guy we used to work with, what's his name? Brandon? I won't say, you know, I don't want to put his last name out there, but super nice guy, like really smart. He was always going to NAB, always checking out the latest stuff. And yeah, he would build out our rooms, and it was always this thing like, how are we going to get, you know, because like in any job, the client's going to say something batshit crazy, and then you're like, okay, all right, how do we do this? Or even if it's not batshit crazy, even if it's only mildly shit crazy, you know? These Nernhoths, I think I've encountered some of them before. They only have like half the morale. I wonder sort of what the lore is of like why this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, just the idea of like, you know, having, you know, because I was that client once. You know, I was having, you know, my television mounted, you know, 17 years ago, the first time we had it mounted in our crazy small, you know, my house is, you know, I feel very fortunate. I love my house. It's old, and when we first bought it, it was very tiny. All things compared to a lot of things. And so we had to, you know, we had like a dining room and a living room, and we were trying to figure out, and the living room was not big, and we were trying to figure out how do we maximize seating in case we have a couple of people over, because we couldn't fit a couch. We could only fit love seats. That was one of the tricks. Like a full couch might have been really tricky to fit, given the layout and the size. So we had like a little love seat where when the kids were little, the four of us, I have two kids, we could all fit quite easily, but as they started to get bigger, it was going to get a little more complicated. It didn't matter. At the time, it didn't matter. But we didn't have anywhere to sit if somebody wanted to, you know, if we were having guests over, or if we wanted to have like a pull-out couch because we didn't have a guest room. Like, how could we have space? So we were trying to figure that out. And what we decided to do is we could take the television off its TV stand and mount it and then put a sleeper love seat underneath it. And so that's what we did. Now, the trick is, though, when you do that, you know, where do you put all the components? Because we're going to put a couch under it. It's not like we're going to put some clean, you know, console or something. And so I was like talking to the guys doing our install, and I'm like, in a perfect world, I'll tell you what I want. You know, I want on the other side of this archway leading to our sunroom, I'd want all the components there, you know, on a bookshelf, you know, so they're like 8 feet to the right with no way to run the cables within the room. And so the guys are like, huh, okay. And so what they did was, of course, they ran it into the wall, down into the basement, over across the opening, but beneath it, popped it back. You know, it's not like a crazy out-of-the-box solution, but I thought that was like, yeah, I mean, I thought that was fun to figure out. Like, this is what I'm hoping to do. I know it's crazy, but this is why. is it possible? And they're like, yeah, I mean, of course it's possible. And then you sort of start figuring it out. In this case, it was relatively straightforward, but I imagine when you're building out a whole post facility, if anybody actually even does that anymore, it can get interesting as the sort of, okay, so we want to build out these rooms. They have to be soundproof, which means that the computers you're working on, maybe not soundproof, but like, you need to be able to really hear. So they need to be like acoustically treated to really let you hear the speakers, for the clients in the room. And it can't have the of like computer fans. So what are you going to do about that? It's as simple as like just working with Mac Studios, but I think they can still get kind of loud. So one place I worked at, this was before Mac Studios, we had our Mac towers in a machine room, and then everything had to be run to the monitors and stuff in the edit suites. And that meant like going over hallways and like crawl spaces and stuff, drop down ceiling spaces. But it also meant you couldn't use regular video cables because it was too far. So again, it was then figuring out all the like, stuff over Ethernet or whatever. I don't remember how they did it exactly. Because it was that, it was also like, your mouse and keyboard, suddenly had to connect over like a 30-foot cable. And again, for like people who did that professionally, it's probably old hat. But for me, watching them do it the first time, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I really, I found it interesting. And part of it, again, like, just, they were the nicest guys, the whole group. I don't know if it was a standard team, and, like, I remember the guy who ran it was Brandon. Really nice guy, and everybody he worked with was great. And just, and I enjoyed watching them figure it out, even if it was simple to figure out on their end. Like, it was just like, we do this all the time, but... But I do get a little bit of that in my... So, like, what I'm doing now... I think I mentioned this in... I did the last one on video of Lord of the Rings because, I started on video. I was like, let me, for the last book quest one, let me do that. And I said a million times, like, a lot of what I'm doing here is I'm practicing. Like, I'm iterating on audio. I'm iterating on, like, what lens. I'm iterating on codecs for recording. I'm iterating on 1440 or 4K. Like, I'm always, part of why I do so much of this is practice, because nobody's going to let me do some of this stuff, so I'm just going to do it on my own. And so lighting is a thing. And so, I used to just have a couple of Elgato mini key lights, whatever they're called. And, that's fine. But I also know that it looks like I have two streamer lights blasting at my face. So I was like, okay, that's not how you would normally light anything. So let me start figuring out if I were doing more cinematography kind of lighting, what would, let's start practicing that. And so I sort of set this goal for myself, like, how do I light this in a more cinematic way? Like, if I was doing, like, the type of lighting I used to do, like, in school and when I was on, like, small sets, I was never a great cinematographer, so it's not something I would choose to do, but I was like, but let me, get a little bit brush. And so, I have some lights down in the basement for board games, and I was like, okay, this is some good practice. And I was like, let me do some more practice. And I had a bunch of, like, these small LED panels that were much bigger than the Elgato key light minis or whatever. But they're not like the giant ones I have for the board games, because I just don't have the space. So I was kind of looking at them like, okay, here's my quasi-engineering problem. I want to light this more, like cinematography, like cinematically, whatever. That's step one. Step two. I don't have a lot of space, and that's not going to change. You know, I don't want to have it be something where it's just like, oh, just stick lights all over the room because, you know, half of this room is my wife's office. If I were in the basement, I could just be like, yeah, I could put lights wherever I want. But I was like, no, let me see if I can figure this out. So the first thing is I wanted to be more cinematic. So going with bigger LED panels is going to take care of a lot of that. You know, that's step one. So, but bigger panels means you got to sort of accommodate that. Instead of having 2 panels, I was going to need more. I didn't know how many. I have 4, so I was just like, let me start with 4 and see if I can do that. Because the other thing I was trying to do is not just cinematic lighting. I wanted to eliminate shadows. I was getting some pretty harsh shadows on my blue screen, which is not crazy. It's not a big deal, relatively speaking. But that's not the proper way to light a blue screen. So I was like, let me also, you know, this is the practice, like, right? How do I light this while also correctly-ish lighting a blue screen? Again, practice. Like, nobody's going to let me practice lighting green screens and blue screens, so... So yeah, I needed to have more lights. I needed to have it light not just me, but also the blue screen behind me relatively evenly. And it had to all attach to my desk. I didn't want light stands. You know, I didn't want any of that shit. I just wanted it all attached to my desk. So it's not going to be the most ideal solution because I'm imposing the fact that it all has to be on my desk, but like how good... Not good. It's never going to be good because I'm not good at it, but what can I do with those constraints? And then, like, you know, it also, like, cable management. I can't have wires tripping everybody up everywhere, stuff like that, so yeah, like, it's, and, you know, like, you know, how do I route all my audio? Like, I've enjoyed those puzzles as I've done this stuff, and, it's telling me there's stuff to the south. What's the fruits the forge? Destroy weapons. So I have one more. At the same time, you know, I'm 50 years old, so, like, the idea of, like, hey, can you crawl on... I mean, I'm still flexible enough to do that kind of stuff, but, like, at some point, when am I going to get too creaky to, like, crawl up under a desk or snake behind a shelf or something without destroying a disc in my back or whatever, you know. How Brandon's doing, the guy that built the rooms. Like, again, in a lot of places, there's a lot of remote work going on, but at the same time, like, there's... there are still like hybrid works coming back. Yeah, you know, like I was listening in on a meeting at where I am now, and they were saying like, yeah, you know, before COVID, like we actually didn't have enough space for all the things that we needed to do, and we were trying to figure out like, oh my God, how do we accommodate this? And then COVID hit, and everybody had to go remote, and so it sort of delayed solving the problem. And so hybrid, you know, and a lot of places are starting to go hybrid. Like, I was at Paramount, they're back full-time 5 days a week. They're not letting you do hybrid. But places that go hybrid, you know, they can still... You know, maybe it helps them out because now, like... If you only have half the people in half the time or whatever, you know... But the thing with Paramount, I remember I thought somebody was saying this, like, and again, this was just like water cooler talk. It wasn't like, you know, the edict from on high, but somebody once told me that the office building that Paramount's in at the time couldn't actually fit everybody that needed to work there. Like it was going to be certain places. Oops, I'm going to die. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, that second one probably didn't help, but whatever. Yeah, somebody was saying it was overcrowded. And they weren't supposed to, according to like zoning laws or whatever, like you can only have so many occupants for so much space. Like they were overdoing it. And, but then again, they also then laid off a gajillion people, so maybe it's not a problem anymore. But I do remember somebody once saying like, oh, like they don't have the space. And I was like, oh, what do I know? I had plenty of space. But other floors were more like, cubicle stuff. Maybe it was a little, I don't know. Okay, so this makes sense. I was like, I didn't expect to have to deal with 2 enemies at once because it was a spy that I didn't see. I thought I was just going to pick this guy off and then take care of these things. Now, one thing I will say, getting back to the topic at hand of Lord of the Rings Online, frame rates back to really high, smooth gameplay, not much lag. I don't know if it's just when I'm doing this or if there's something else going on. But, yeah. My frame rate counter, I think you can see it when I record. It's like it's always been above 110, something like that 110, 120 range, which is basically as good as I get in this game. I'm happy with that. Like I'm not one of the like I need 240. Again, I've said anything above 60, I'm content with. I'm not, I'm not Twitch first-person shooter guy, so. Oh, right, these treasure caches are something that I have not been able to... I think they're all over Middle-earth. Anyway. But yeah, it's good to see, and again, I don't know if it's just I'm here on a good day or if, like, whatever some of the kinks are that were cropping up in the last couple of areas, or is it just because there's no flowers on the ground? Like, is it that kind of, I don't know what tricks they use to show grass and things like that. Like, is there no weather? Is that, defeat Angbar the Cruel? No, and it's done. See what's in these treasure chests. Found an ancient treasure cache. Okay, sure. Deed bestowed. Treasure of Undun. I wonder if there's just some of these like all over the world. Like go find the 10 in Bree or go find the... So defeat spies, search abandoned packs. I can go back to this guy and tell him, hey, I did the thing for 1.1. Let's do that. You know what, I'm gonna fast travel. All right, let's see what he has to say. Yeah, because I'm just kind of curious to see, like, what's up with the main story now.
Well done, my friend.
Let's see those orcs try to forge new weapons now. We have at least made it more difficult for them to do so, if not outright impossible. While you worked to accomplish that task, I stood on the cliff's edge and beheld a rather large movement of orcs and trolls moving from south to north on the floor of the valley. Okay. Perhaps you can see what they are up to. It will be nothing good, that much is certain, but there may be treasure in it, or knowledge worth having. Money, yeah, I mean, learning, but money. Any enemies you defeat while you search will also help others among our soldiers and will be no waste of effort. I saw that group of orc and trolls in the basin of the Vale, northeast of the crag on which Durthang stands if you wish to investigate. I do. So is this still 1.1? Okay. Okay, so the ears of Ugrikor is still blinking in Mornhour. And that's going to be the spies. So they're telling me that there's 3 spies still in there. I love stealth games. I'm really bad at stealth games. Oh, these guys count? In that case, let's start doing it. So it's telling me there's one to the north. You know, these rusty small chests. Yeah, I feel like I'm just grabbing stuff. I don't think I actually need to worry about these. Are these 2 spies? Oh no, they're just workers that respawned. Ooh, you know what? I wonder if I can do it. Like, it's a little cheap. But much in the same way, I sort of just farmed those lieutenants. Like, if I just stand over there where that spy popped up, can I just stand there and keep having the spies pop up? Just that way I don't have to hunt them down. Kind of nice, like, with this new structure. Like, I don't know, like I was saying, like, I don't know how these, I know it's chapter 1.1, so somehow they're still doing chapters, but I don't know. Where did that spy come from? Somebody spotted me, so if I just hang out here, will the spy keep respawning and spotting me? I don't know where he comes from. Okay, cool. Is it cheap? Yeah, but I mean, you know, like, that's fine. I'm not above it. So is this world still on, like, a difficulty? Oh yeah, okay, it's a little bumped. I wonder if I should turn that down. Not because the difficulty's whatever. It's just because I'm getting a bonus experience bump, and maybe I don't need that so much anymore because I'm not worried about, like, maybe I should be worried about out leveling stuff or not keeping up with the levels, but yeah, I don't know. So I wonder if the rings here in Mornau are, or however you say it, Mornau, are because I've spotted spies there, so just like, hey, this is where they are if you want to lock in. Keep banging shit. Yeah, at the time of this recording, in theory, if all the schedules hold up, I should be getting another session in Gloomhaven, and I don't know how long that game is. We've been playing it for dozens and dozens of hours. Probably like 30 or 40. And I feel like we've got a lot of like icons on the map, but I don't know. But I also have always heard that the full Gloomhaven board game's a long experience. So just kind of curious to see. But I'm excited. It's been a really good game, and I know Frosthaven again at the time of this recording. By the time this comes out, it's going to be who knows how long. That's the other thing about streaming is I would probably start a new character because, like, again, the gap between when I record and when I release is months sometimes. Partly that's, you know, because you never know what the schedule's gonna, you know, maybe something happens and somebody, like, my time disappears or whatever. But, yeah. And I don't want to sort of swamp this. I already swamp the channel too much with video game stuff when it's about the RPG, so I don't want to doing like, you know, 5 days a week releases on, you know, that's crazy. So and there's been a lot of stuff going on, like I've been saying, like it's been a crazy time, and during that crazy time, part of what it meant is that you know, my wife had to travel more for family stuff, and so what I do is I'm like, oh crap, okay, so I've got free time when, and you know the space to myself. I don't have to worry about interruptions. I don't have, so I'm just like, I'm gonna crank stuff out. Like I'm gonna take advantage of it. I'm gonna do all the other stuff as well, but like I'm gonna dedicate some time to, like a couple weeks ago, my wife and daughter went to visit family, and I had to work on, like, they had a long weekend. I did not. So that meant, like, on Saturday when I had time to myself, I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to record back-to-back Skyrim sessions. Because I do that on camera. I like to do it unbroken. I mean, I take breaks, but it's not, like, I don't like to stitch it together the way I stitch this together when I'm on camera. I was like, let me take advantage of it. But that means, like, you know, I got 2 sessions, and those 2 sessions, you know, that's half a month of, you know, video game releases at our current schedule. So, so again, like tomorrow, I think, like tonight I have some time because my daughter's gonna be out of the house and my wife's had to travel for family. So I want to play Gloomhaven, but tomorrow, like, I might have a huge chunk of time as well. I'm like, I think I should get a Skyrim session in. Because again, I'll be by myself for a bit. And I can do it unbroken, on camera. Alright, I'm gonna get out of here. I don't care that much about, where's the movements? It's red. Okay, so it's right here. Do I have any quests I can turn in? Let's see where this takes me. I was hoping it would take me back there, and then I'll just run back.
This land makes my skin crawl.
Okay, so you are the one who sent all those poor souls our way. They have not proved themselves dishonorable thus far and waited peacefully. Okay, I think this is like the people who wanted to surrender.
Bah!
Another player, very nice. Blood Knight Lady. Detective, that's a great name. Detective Bloody Eyes. Yeah. Kudos. 123 Hunter, that's a great name. That is a good name. So what am I trading for this? It's a recipe, so I don't really care, but I'm just curious. I don't think I can go in. I don't know if this is a place to go in, but
Now then.
should I? Should I just see if I've got some stuff here? Goo, filth. These lock boxes. Yeah, let's get rid of those. There's a part of me that just wants to sell some of this stuff.
Let us not tarry.
But yeah, I wonder if I should lower the difficulty just so I'm not getting scimitars. Ah, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to sell this stuff. Wonder if a developer, I mean, not that they do, but I wonder if a developer watched me play this and just be like, yeah, I'm not engaging with that. Ah, screw that. I'm not doing that. They're just like, oh God, this breaks my heart. I worked so hard on this. Why you gotta be like that? Oh, there's a tracer. Oh well. Again, like, I don't know what this, minimum level 120. 320,000 item experience points. I just don't know if the system's changed. I can try this one, I guess, and see what happens. Need to go by my house and dump all this crap. Like the wine tables, the model of Minas Tirith. Yeah, let's see what happens. Oh shit, I think a bird just flew into a window. Okay. Now there was one thing I wanted to, let's unlock this if I can. There we go.
Oh, this is far from fair, Ithilien.
Ah, whatever. Okay. Let's see. Go this way. We're trying to get to this red ring here. So let's head out. I wonder what level I need for Aemir. Now wait, now how far do I have to go on the... Let me... Yeah. Yeah, let's, yeah, you know what, let's just straight shot it. see. Oh, if they mark down where those pages are, that's
I
gonna...
believe it was in the Second Age, after Sauron came to Mordor, that he set to work building an army to make war against the kingdoms of men and elves.
You know, I was saying at some point, like, I wonder where the lore for Mordor, you know, where sounds like they're gonna fill some of that in. That's good. So yeah, I can't tell if that's that ring or if it's one of the spies. No, it's not the spy. The things they left behind, what's that? Abandoned packs. Is there a... like, does that respawn and I can... Did I just miss one? Nice, there's one right there. Okay, so let's clear that out. Let's get... All right. Let's see. Let's keep making our way. Okay, so I think I'm going to take a right here at this fork. Getting a little bit of a slowdown on the input, but again, for the most part, and you can see the frames per second starting to dip, but for the most part, like, this has been running a lot smoother than some of the, like, Minas Tirith, holy god, forget about it. Like, that was, in terms of, like, how it ran, it was really rough. At least for me. A number of dead orcs and trolls lie here. What was the cause of the infighting? Oops. It's, yeah, like, obviously makes sense, but definitely a darker turn here, and, you know, what you're seeing in the world, like the, you know, hanging corpses, not something you often say, like, oh, I remember that from Middle-earth. Feels more heading towards like a dark fantasy horror kind of vibe, which again makes sense. And is usually a bit more of the motif that I'm looking for. Let's see. Okay, so we can take this back to him. Telling me I might have missed a backpack around here. That's why I was sort of drifting over. Now I'll be curious, like, once you get to this point, like, the book quests are done. You know, I'm at 107. There's, you know, 53 more levels I can achieve to the current level cap. Do they want you to just hit that cap because they're like, yeah, like this stuff is, you know, whatever. Like, I wonder if they're just gonna like, here's just a ton of experience, or if they want it to continue to be sort of like a slow leveling burn, or is it in their mind like if you've gotten this far, what you're really after is you should be doing the end game raids or whatever that are, you know, lore and story important. What's on the other side of the bonfire? Okay, I was gonna say like somewhere or the other. Telling me there was a backpack. Let's grab this. 15. Okay, you know, getting there. Like I shouldn't really be prioritizing it. You know what? Let's see if we can hand in the book quest.
Did you find the orcs and trolls I saw from the height?
You tell Rogren that you found a number of dead orcs and trolls, and it seems they argued among themselves and died from infighting. How very like orcs. I do not doubt they would pose more of a threat if they could work together, but their penchant for squabbling leaves them vulnerable to their own fellows. They are weak-minded creatures, and in the absence of Sauron, they do not know what to do. Still, we should not underestimate them, for they can pose a threat to us in great enough numbers. Ah, that reminds me. Did you see Anoth while you traveled? When you tell him that you did not, Rogren frowns. I climbed up here with him, but he left shortly afterwards and has not returned. I hope he's all right.
I fear for Anoth.
No, you know what? Okay, so that was chapter 1.1. So let's see what, did you speak to Anoth and Cirith Gorgor? As we traveled into Udun, he spoke to me of his ancestors, the Thrandrim, and told me all their sad history. He holds in his heart the grief of their deaths, though most of them died more than 1,000 years ago. He desired to go to the fortress of Durthad, which was their watchpost, and reclaim it from any orcs who possess it. I thought they were courageous words, but as I look out at the dark skies over Gorgoroth, I wonder if there was a touch of the fool in them. Anoth may be in the right, but he is one man only, and Durthad could be filled with orcs. Yes, you must find him if he still lives, and try to dissuade him from this course. I told you before, I desire wealth and treasure, and I do not understand those who seek anything else. This course of Anoth strikes me now as foolish in the extreme. The fortress of the Thandrim is to the southeast of us. See it there, towering over the vale? It was called Durthad once, but I do not know what the orcs call it now. Find Anoth and render him what aid you can. I will go to rejoin the men of my company, and we will see what treasures await further within Mordor. Yeah, so I'm really liking the idea that, because this is sort of, when you role play in Middle Earth, most of the time you're not role playing the main story, right? So it's like, what are the interesting stories that you can tell in this interesting setting? And so I'm much more interested in that kind of stuff than just handing me like the story from the books in a reformatted package. So yeah, I'm really curious to see like these stories develop. I'm very excited about that. But since that's the end of chapter 1.1, why don't we just call this here? Let's call this a session. I didn't know when it was going to end. It turns out it's going to end now, so it's a good stopping point. So yeah, thanks again to everybody who checked this out. Very much enjoying Mordor. Very much enjoying, again, being out in the world, running around, exploring new places. It's got a great, they've done a really good job capturing just the oppressive awfulness of what you would expect Mordor to have. Yeah. But yeah, so if you're watching this, you found our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, notification bell kind of stuff if that's your thing. We are mainly a tabletop RPG actual play channel. At the time of this recording, doing Pathfinder. I'm hoping at the time this actually goes up, which is a couple of months from now, we're still doing Pathfinder because we're doing Seasons of Ghost. Matt's running me and Patrick through that, and it's been great so far. We've got some RPG discussion podcasts. If you prefer audio versions of that kind of stuff, just search for Black Lodge Trivia Night wherever you get your audio. We should show up. We've got a Discord if you want to talk about RPGs, CRPGs. Yeah. Otherwise, again, as always, we always really, really appreciate the people who check this stuff out. Hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye-bye.